Hello and welcome to the Enterprise Talk Conversation Series, a peer knowledge resource by the CXOs for the CXOs. Now to our host, Kanika Goswami.
Welcome to our podcast On Stage with Enterprise Thought Leaders. My name is Kanika Goswami and I'm the managing editor of Ondot Media's 6 B2B enterprise technology publications. We have engaging conversations with global thought leaders and industry experts, which reach over 1.3 million businesses worldwide. Continuing with our series of conversations on enterprise technology and how to harness it most effectively, we shall be discussing yet another significant subject for CIOs today. Digital transformation has been a buzzword for almost a decade now, but over the years, technology leaders have faced some unique challenges and they have not been, in many cases, completely successful in the transformation exercise. We discuss these challenges and how to overcome them in today's session titled Breaking Barriers, Ensuring a Successful Digital Transformation with Konrad Szarowolec. He is the Executive Director of EY GDS. Welcome to the show, Konrad. It's great to have you with us here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
I will have a short introduction for Conrad and then I'll invite him to speak about the organization. He leads the business consulting teams in EY GDS in Poland and Spain, helping clients respond to the challenges of digital transformation with technology, data, and a human-centered approach. In his nearly 20 years of professional experience, he's served global clients from different areas and geographies with a strong focus on the public sector. That's interesting to know because I don't think the rest of the world is public sectors and the government sectors and organizations are so focused on digital transformation. So very interesting.
Correct. Thank you very much, Kanika, for that introduction. Indeed, I represent GDS, so Global Delivery Services. This is part of EY, which is focused on solutioning and delivery of client projects, client transformations across the whole world, across all the sectors. My primary team is business consulting team with a special focus on business transformation. But of course, when we talk about digital transformation, it's actually a joint effort of two factors, two areas: business transformation, which goes along with the technology transformation at the same time.
A little more about EY GDS, if you have something to share. I can see that you take care of Spain and Poland. So
Yes.
Anything specific about the markets that you can share with us?
GDS is multinational network of teams located in different parts of the world, focusing on addressing particular needs and particular nuances of the regional clients or clients from that particular region. Our main office is located in India. However, we have a strong presence in Southeast Asia, in the Philippines. We are present also in America with a strong presence out of Mexico. And of course in Europe, the teams that I have a privilege to lead from business consulting angle with two large locations in Poland and in Spain, which act as a nearshore centers, especially for European clients.
Right, that's good to know. So we'll start with the questions now, Conrad. Digital transformation is ubiquitous, but adopting it has not been easy. In your opinion, what should be the CIO's strategy for enterprises and governments to make sure that the digital technology adoption process is smooth and seamless? What is the single biggest thing, in your opinion, that matters there?
There's probably not a single thing that we should focus on, because when we talk about large-scale transformations, we talk about the large-scale change, and every change of management is simply difficult because it takes into account many different factors. There's an environmental factor, there's human factor, there's a business factor, there's a stakeholders, and the overall environment a factor which needs to needs to be taken into account. And it all boils down that large-scale transformations, they do not happen overnight. It takes months, sometimes years, to have them implemented. So if we want to execute them in a proper manner, many factors, or especially those challenging ones, have to be adjusted, have to be taken care of. One primary thing that has to be aligned is the roadmap, the ultimate goal, the ultimate objectives that we want to achieve. And they need to be clear enough for everybody, but especially for the executives representing the overall endeavor, that everything that will be happening along the road, along that transformative journey, will be focused on delivering that particular objectives. Because the way the transformation is being executed, it may be adjusted, right? Because again, we are talking about long-term changes. The technology changes, technology might require adjustment, the business context, the policies and regulations when we talk about public sector, very often has to be also taken into account during that change. But as long as the ultimate goal, the ultimate benefits that we want to achieve are sustained, the transformation will go on and will actually deliver the actual results. We have been talking about the stakeholders alignment, and again, large-scale transformations, there will be multiple stakeholders that we need to take into account, and harmonizing them, harmonizing their expectations, harmonizing their views, harmonizing their objectives. It is really crucial to make sure that the transformation is designed in a proper manner. Not to mention the client or customer centricity, which needs to be also taken into account when designing the overall transformation. Imagine, again, I will be speaking from the public sector perspective. If we are implementing services for the citizens, we need to make sure that they are actually easy to use, that they are addressing the actual need, that the overall shape of the solution is actually adjusted to accessibility that the users have. So putting the user, the end user, the client in the center of the transformation, aligning it with the overall objectives of the transformation, it is a key factor if we want to end it up with a success. And again, I mentioned that large-scale transformation, they take lots of time to deliver, but none of the organization can allow themselves to actually wait for the final results for the long time, right? So it is really important to adopt the agility there, both in terms of the mindset, in terms of managing scope, objectives, but also in terms of how we deliver. We should really deliver in an incremental manner, in an agile, adopt the agile principles, split the overall transformation into chunks, into pieces, and focus on delivering those pieces to the actual clients in a prompt manner, and measuring whether the results are actually being achieved, and if not, of course, adjusting it accordingly. This will require, of course, in many cases, change also from the people perspective. People will need to learn, they will need to adopt new skills, and again, both from the user's perspective, but also the teams which will need to implement those transformations. So this is also a challenge that most organizations need to pick up along the way. So just focusing on the solution, just focusing on implementation itself without taking care of the human factor of the transformation is in many cases unfortunately leading to a failure, or at least significant challenges.
And what technologies do you think will enable the best leverage of digital transformation investments? What would or should companies and governments be investing in more?
Well, these will be usual suspects. So, of course, we will be talking about cloud here. You cannot go away from the AI and mentioning AI in the overall landscape. What is interesting is that many companies, they very eagerly pick up the themes of those technologies, but many of those are not actually ready yet to adopt those. So when we talk about cloud transformation, which was so vivid and so loud in the last years, it's actually quite obvious that not all companies, not all organizations have actually picked up that cloud transformation. So this will for sure go on. And right now we are phasing into shifting into phase where it is more mature in terms of assessment whether a particular organization is actually achieving their objectives and their ambitions using cloud transformations, because for some companies it has also been proven that pure cloud approach or standard cloud approach might not actually provide those benefits right away. At the same time, of course, new technologies are picking up. Generative AI and AI topic as such is the most hot right now, and most of the companies are thinking right now, what can I do to not stay in the back, stay in the lead, and make sure that we are leveraging those technologies. So of course, most of the companies right now are really eagerly looking into AI. Most of the companies. So when we look at the publicly available data, most CEOs they declare that the most gain or the biggest ambitions that are expected from adopting AI technology are around performance improvements right now. So this means that the overall adoption of AI is not mature yet in a way that they will completely transform the way the organizations do their business. Right now, they are focusing on optimization of the way they operate. But very soon, we can expect that organizations will start performance of their business, or operations of their business, and objectives of their business designed in a different manner. So the real transformation, business transformation around AI, is only to be picked up and increased in the nearby future. And this is actually preceded by some additional transformative initiatives that need to happen. So right now, many organizations realized that effective managing of the data that they have is crucial for the next milestones, the next steps that they want to undertake when considering a long-term roadmaps in terms of data transformations. You need to sort out first your data points, your business model, your future state in terms of what you want to achieve in the nearby future, and then of course focus on those technologies which will allow you to achieve that. So when we speak about AI, again, I think the potential which is coming with AI, it is not explored yet to that extent. Right now, we are talking about more replacing very famous and very vivid some years back robotics and automation, which is in very many cases replaced or supplemented with AI based solutions. And last but not least, we may mention cybersecurity as a very hot topic right now. Again, it comes back to the complexity of the landscape, technological landscape that we have right now. There are multiple solutions which are integrated with each other. There are new technologies which we adopt, and we don't know the full consequences or the full roadmap where they will evolve, in which direction. So it is really important to make sure that from the overall security perspective, those landscapes, technological landscape, they are safe to use by society, by the users, by the organizations, and they by adopting those newest technologies, they do not risk significant exposure in terms of data and security.
So adoption of new and of course digital technologies cannot be easy for a team that's been used to working on legacy technologies and infrastructure. So what should the technology leaders do, the CIOs or the CTOs, do to ensure that this change percolates to the last level of every team? It will take a lot of change management. It will take a lot of buy-in from all levels of stakeholders. And for government and public sectors, it must not be easy. So what has been your experience with this challenge of having to use legacy infrastructures for digital technologies.
Right, this is a really interesting topic that you're picking up, Kanika. I think this is particularly visible in public sector, which tends to be more legacy driven. Many processes and solutions are still analog when we talk about public sector. So indeed, this change is usually much more noticeable in this sector rather than in a private sectors or privately driven sectors. I would say the most important thing is education, right? So it is quite obvious when we talk about nowadays adoption of technologies. You cannot rely on your skills, on your knowledge, on your capabilities that you have developed 10 years back. Everything has changed, and of course those skills are still useful, but they need to adopt, they need to evolve to make sure that we are using and leveraging the technologies that are here. And we focus, of course, on technologies, but it's also the way we do business. So if you take project management, for example, some years back, everything was very waterfall oriented, very much objective driven. It was so focused on making sure that we understand the ultimate goal so well that we used to spend a lot of time on defining the final product. Right now, we are not there at all. We are really eager to take more risk. We are really eager to start quickly and deliver first results and measure and verify whether they are good results. And if they are not, this is totally okay. We can take that risk, because the ultimate benefits of changing it, adjusting to the final state, is way less than risking the failure in the long term. So you see there is a big change in terms of mindset, but also a big change in terms of technology. So this will be a joint effort in terms of education. I would say again, the education institutions, schools, universities, they need to prepare and need to be prepared to train and to educate those new skills and new approaches. But also us as employees, us as society, we need to be really ready to adopt those technologies and those new ways of thinking much more eagerly. Right? So trainings, inclusive communication. Usually, as we talk about change management, you need to manage the change. So you need to make sure that you understand the current status. You need to well communicate what you would expect from the users, how you would see the users evolve. In many cases, those technologies are not rocket science technologies, and everybody can pick this up. There is this just resistance that we need to overcome, because you have been learning particular technology or particular approach for years, and it is always a little bit more resistance and always a bit more challenge in terms of switching from one way of working and to another. Many organizations are actually realizing that, and they foster the way their employees are actually developing skills, no matter what is the flavor of technology which is important at this particular moment. What I mean by that, many organizations, including EY, encourage their employees to constantly invest into learning new skills. And this may be by participating in new trainings, gaining new certifications to prove knowledge around those particular areas, but also doing pet projects, trying to test your new skills by doing simple tasks in those new approaches, new technologies, proving yourself, doing so-called training on a job or proof of concept projects, just to see that, okay, this is actually achievable, this is not that difficult, following some tutorials, the technology, learning technology or teaching technologies right now, they are very much supportive. So it is much easier to grasp those new skills only if you want, and if you have a motivation from your employer, from your teacher, you have a reward coming out of it, you will be much more eager to adopt this kind of mindset.
So, if we're particularly talking about local governments across many countries, their path to digital transformation has been uphill for various reasons. So, what do you see as the single biggest challenge that they have faced, and what is your recommendation to mitigate it? Skill levels, education, change in mindset, legacy infrastructure, we have already discussed these. Anything else which you think holds them back from completely transforming?
I think when I observe governmental markets, what would improve the way they draft their transformation is a long-term vision. So in many cases, they focus on assessing the status quo, so the current situation, and jumping quickly into conclusion what needs to be changed. Putting a little bit more effort into road mapping and narrowing down this ultimate goal, the ultimate objective of the transformation, would definitely be advantageous in terms of how those transformations are being designed. And it would also make those transformations not so prone to all the environmental changes. So, of course, in the governmental and in the public sector, all of those transformations, they are impacted by the political changes, changes in terms of the governments, changes in technology, changes in the trends, or the way the society is actually using those solutions. So if we have a clear vision what we want to achieve and what are the actual benefits that we expect, it is much easier to make any decisions along the way and adjust to those changes. Many companies and many governments, they are assessing the spends for those transformations, taking into account the current spending and the current budgeting, which is fair, but you cannot run a large-scale transformation without actually assessing very well the ultimate benefits that will be brought in the future. And while private sector, of course, has its own limitations in terms of spends and how they invest, they need to have a solid profit and loss here and now. Governments have a little bit more flexibility in where they invest, where they put a little bit more focus and more money in, because they see the ultimate objectives later on. And many projects are, I think, they would be realized in a much more effective manner if this kind of approach would be applied. So that is definitely one thing. As we mentioned before, so investment into new skills, so fostering new skills and new technology is something that for sure governmental institutions should pick up. And one challenge which is particularly difficult to actually overcome is that, of course, governmental landscape is very much impacted by regulations and by policies. And those policies, of course, they change, they evolve, they bring new subjects. Right now we are talking about adoption of AI, and there's a big worldwide discussion how to ethically use AI, and some regions are already picking this topic up quite ambitiously, but from even organizations' perspective, it's really difficult right now to have the clear vision how to implement it. So what I'm saying is that those policies and those regulations, they are opportunities on one hand side, but they are challenges on the other, because they change, they adjust, they create some limitations. They require to be interpreted in a proper manner, and it is not always that clear how to interpret those from a day one. So this is a big challenge. So a joint effort of probably cooperation, cross-sector cooperation, so private and public sector, around those topics is really crucial to make sure that those transformations are being first designed in a effective manner, but also focusing on right solutions which are compliant and which are safe, bring the ultimate results to society.
So quickly, let's just touch upon smart cities. Of course, it was an idea that was, every government across the world tried to implement it. India also had a lot of initiatives on smart cities. Unfortunately, it didn't take off as much as it should have, and it didn't reach where it would have. But what do you see as a level of transformation for smart cities, especially in Europe, in areas where you've been working? If it is satisfactory, what is the strength it has provided to governments? And if not, what was the reason for the performance being less than expected? Was it technology? Was it people? Was it lack of skills, lack of education, as you say, certifications or awareness or whatever? What do you think actually happened? I mean, first of all, is it a success? Yes, great. What have you learned from it? If not,
Well, the smart cities topic is not finished, so we are, I would say, at the early stage of smart city implementation. If you consider smart city concept, it's actually one of the biggest, most complex transformation that you can imagine being implemented in particular space. So not many cities or not many regions can afford to implement full-blown, full-scale transformation around those. And if you look at Europe, many cities invest into smart city solutions. Many cities or different cities invest into different areas. So some cities, they focus more on environmental factor. Some other cities, they focus more on digital solutions for citizens. And we have really good examples where this is being rolled out very much effectively. Some other regions are focusing more on the healthcare topic and providing, proximity in terms of digital health. There's a huge investment in Europe right now around those topics from both healthcare sector, but also from insurance sector, which is very much interested in keeping us healthy. Keeping us staying healthy. So I would say right now what we observe is different pockets of solutions around smart city initiatives, and what I would expect in the upcoming years is actually merging those solutions. So more and more cities will be looking into their brothers and sisters cities, what work out well, what are the similarities between those cities, what are the biggest challenges. Sometimes it will be traffic, and it will be around logistics, which will be the most urgent need to be picked up. Sometimes it will be different topics, like education, for instance. So those solutions will be picked up and they will be aggregated. So I would expect that in the upcoming years, most of those solutions will be implemented and aggregated, and the best practices, if we may call it, will be picked up and implemented as a standard solution. So we will start to get used to a situation where really good solution that you are benefiting in your city, you will be meeting, or you will be facing exactly the same ones in the other ones as well.
So we spoke about skills being an essential component of a successful digital transformation. So what key skills do you think are essential for overcoming transformation challenges? And what advice would you give to aspiring professionals who are striving for success in their career, especially in the context of digital transformation?
Okay, so I think being or having an open mind is the most crucial right now, because most of those technologies or trends, they are assessed within the period of 2 to 3 years, whether they pick up and they evolve, or they are simply dropped. So you have to be patient, you have to be open, and you need to be flexible. So the biggest change that I would observe in terms of generations and the way they picked up skills is that you cannot limit yourself to one skill. You cannot be a project manager just by definition or by education, and you will be sticking with your skills throughout whole your career. You need to be curious. You need to develop your skills in different areas, supplement your primary skill. There is a concept of the second skill. Many companies are actually implementing this as a sort of compass for additional compass for employees to follow. So you will still follow your primary skill, which still can evolve, but the secondary skill will actually guide you through the nuances and changes in the market. And sometimes this will be more technology-driven skill. Sometimes this will be more people-related. Sometimes it will be more business-related skill. But second skill, I think everybody should start thinking of their second skill. What is my second skill? What I can learn, what I can bring from my private life to the business that I'm working in, and how can I supplement, how can I bring extra value in terms of me being part of this transformation, part of that endeavor, part of that project. And it is quite easy, I think, easier for a young generation because they are facing multiple technologies. But it's also challenging because it is much more difficult to stay focused. Right? So one thing is, of course, being flexible, but being flexible is not changing the second skill every month. Staying focused, making sure that you actually are reaching the level that you can feel comfortable leveraging those skills that you have developed, and then deciding whether this is exactly what the market needs and what I as employee want to do, or indeed I need to evolve and adjust the second skill or maybe a third skill in this situation to the one that I'm actually should focus on at this stage.
So thank you so much for your time today, Conrad. It was nice talking to you. And this is not a subject we touch upon very often, so very insightful. Thank you so much.
Kanika, thank you very much for having me.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for being with us. Please do follow us on social media for regular updates and new content.